Good morning. Let me see if this works really quickly. Sorry that I'm a little bit delayed, but today we were figuring out some additional improve the stream because it needs to be improved. Let's be honest. I'm just checking. Give me a second, guys. I think we're here. Okay, perfect. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, good morning. I think we're live. Can I? How the hell do I do it? Okay, not today because we figured out a way how to put the comments on top of the video, but apparently not today because I didn't fully figure it out. Okay, so it's not going to be as cool as I thought. In any case, yeah. So two things for us to cover, and let me also promote this in the whale simultaneously. Where else is starting? Yeah. So the first thing that keeps going through is the node operation. So for the nodes at this point of time, we have quite a lot of node operators, guys. Thank you so much for that. The number of node operators slowed down a little bit, however, on the surface. However, on the background, at least the same number of people who already running nodes are trying to run nodes. Just so you know, from all different types of geographies. So we're going to get there in its due time. And it's important for us to make sure, that we keep running nodes. Now, the second phase is going to be uncovered very soon. The private GitHub is complete, I don't know, 70, 80, 90% of the way. And once that's fully done, we will move to the next phase. And in the next phase, what's it called? In the next phase, the nodes will have to be start running 24/7. And essentially, that's where kind of the game begins. It's going to be just testnet phase 2. There are probably 10 phases, so it's not going to be the most important one, but it's going to be definitely a crucial one. And we'll see how many nodes are operating 24/7. That will tell us a lot. So that's on the node side. But I think the more important thing here is on the side of whales, on the side of whale governance. So let me try to move. If I move like this, what's going to happen? There we go. So I think that's way more important to discuss that situation. So the idea came about after some of the whales suggested some pretty interesting ideas, specifically regarding starting a Ghost Africa community. We have people representing the African continent, and when you go to, like, if you do the analysis of the demographic population growth by the end of the 2100, you will see something interesting. Of course, those forecasts are rarely correct, right? Rarely correct, meaning that I can forecast the stock market to be down or up, whatever, and the market just does what it does, right? Or I can say the gold is going to do this or that, or I can say Bitcoin is going to do this or that. So lots of these forecasts are inaccurate. In particular, I've been thinking the other day maybe another good YouTube channel would be, or YouTube channel videos will be like predictions by the master blockchain enthusiasts, and then what happened to those predictions. They probably 98% significant majority of them have been incorrect. So is the same with the demographic uh, forecast by United Nations. But United Nations is with the World Bank, I believe, made some type of forecast regarding the population growth by the region. And to my surprise, certain regions got there with double to quadruple the population within the next 75 years. And some populations either stagnating, like pretty much staying the same, or moving down. And that including the immigrate, like that population forecast includes immigration as well. So all the migrants, immigrants, whatever, they are also added to the overall population. So the developed world is kind of screwed based on the population growth at this point of time. That's just a fact. Again, not a fact, that's a forecast. Not a fact, forecast. So you're looking at your European Union, you're looking at Americas, you're looking at Australia. Not good. Not good. So the so-called golden billion, right? So the golden billion people have access to electricity, water, food, jobs, all that fun stuff. The population is stagnating. The cost of living is massively increasing, and the inflation is not helping with that. The growth of wages for years have not outpaced the growth of expenses, and the official inflation is all BS. We know that the real inflation is way higher. And then if you ask Wall Street professionals, they say, well, inflation is not the growth of prices. Inflation is the increase in the monetary supply. Well, that fucking thing went up 7% every year on average, not fucking the 2% that you have been, declaring with your Bureau of Labor and whatever, responsible for calculating CPI and PPI, the inflation numbers, right? So it's been 7% every year. How come you didn't tell us that it's 7% every year, the monetary supply, right? So therefore, we as as average people just have to look outside and see how much the prices have risen. And because they have risen, of course, it became impossible for many of us to to support ourselves, let alone have kids, right? And that's why we experience in demographic collapse. Conversely, in emerging markets, also specifically in which ones, it's not going to be India or China. Emerging markets mostly driven by Africa, but also the Middle East and a little bit of Southeast Asia. So those are massive regions. I thought Latin America is going to be through the roof as far as population growth. Not true. It's, again, for the most part, Africa and the Middle East. When we say Africa, Nigeria at this point of time, 200, 300 million is going to be 600, 700 million. You're looking at Ethiopia, South Africa is not going to grow that much. You're looking at Egypt. Egypt is going to be the next military regional power. Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Congo, Tanzania, Mali, Nigeria, Morocco. So like all of those are going to be significantly risen as far as population. Again, anywhere from double to quadruple. In the Middle East, we're talking what? We're talking Iraq. We're not talking Iran, by the way, but we're talking Iraq. We're talking Saudi Arabia. All the population is not significant, but the growth is going to be significant. Obviously, UAE is going to go through the roof. Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, we're not sure. Turkey will increase, but then will decrease. So, Afghanistan is going to be massively expanding. And parts of the Central Asia, such as Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, those will also show double to quadruple the population. So these are the regions. Which country in Southeast Asia is going to go through the roof? Indonesia. Not Malaysia, not much Thailand, but it's going to be Indonesia plus Philippines. Right. So those are the population increases. So that's the demographics. And with all due respect to the European regulations by the MiCA and all this other stuff preventing crypto from being adopted, or we're looking for regulations by the SEC, by the FINRA in the US, we are getting to the point where those regulations that are quote trying to protect the citizens, in reality we'll know that it's complete bullshit, right? So they're not trying to protect the citizens, they're trying to protect the status quo, which is Web 2.5. Well, in particular Web 2. They're not even protecting Web 2.5. They're introducing Web 2.5 to protect Web 2. So everybody sees how Web 3 sucks. They create Web 2.5, brand that as Web 3, say, well, Web 3 sucks, go back to Web 2, right? So go back to your traditional banks. That's what's happening. But people vote. People vote for stuff, right? With dollars, with their emotions, with their votes, with their support, and it's inevitable for Web3 to keep growing further. As I keep mentioning that report by the by the UK, not US, UK, United Kingdom Ministry of Defense. It was quoted 50 years forward up until I think 2045, year of 2045. And yes, they back in the day, I don't know, God knows when that report came out, they outlined the trends, including massive divergence towards digital assets, massive diffusion, as they called it, diffusion of power of governments towards the private entities. And the private entities, could be Goldman Sachs as a private entity, and it could also be Google as a private entity. But it also could be, decentralized private entity, such as Bitcoin, right? They consider it as private entity most likely, right, by the miners and all that stuff, just super duper decentralized. So that's kind of the situation, and kind of to give this overview. Now, Ghost Africa, therefore, it's a terrific idea, right? We just need to make sure that we have enough users in the group. We have to make sure that there are lots of conditions met when it comes down to why should we start that Ghost Africa community, and what are the promises for those people who pitched that idea overall. So then we started thinking, and we're like, well, we have enough whales, but we need to equip whales with the governance, right? We need to make sure whales can vote. Whales is a bigger community than Ghost Council, and Ghost Council is a very respectable cohort, absolutely. However, whales is not less a respectable cohort. By the way, the power of whales. So I'm going through this website, right? So that's the jml.ghostchain.attributes. So that's the website that has been forwarded to whales many times. These images last week were not loading for me. If you see the images, let me just move my camera here. See, like these images have not been loading at all for me before last week. But what happened was you guys had started pinging this page for just a week. And now most of these images already loading. So the IPFS is extremely slow when it's one or two people pinging a 72,000 item collection. It's a massive collection. We have a server hosting that collection worth of 50 gigabytes, which then reroutes that to the IPFS for the public domain cache. So so two people, pinging the IPFS, not good. And the collection is absolutely massive. Each one of these is, very high resolution, and 72,000 pieces versus a typical collection of 10,000 pieces or 5,000. So 72 is massive. Yet it's loading. Almost all of it is loading just within a week of whales pinging it. Whales. Definitely whales include Ghost Council, so those are not mutually exclusive. However, it's whales who've been pinging as well in massive quantities, and as you can see, lots, and that's just an indication, right? Last time it was maybe so how many images are here? Maybe 200, maybe 300 images, and as you can see how slow that is, because again it's IPFS, it's loading. However, only took a little bit to get there. Give me a second. Okay, so now that just shows the power of whales. Now, in order for us to move forward with the whale governance, we just need to identify who is a whale. And the first proposal went through, and the first proposal said what? The first proposal said who is a ghost council? Who's a ghost whale? And there have been certain bullet points, like I think 6 of them, including changing the avatar, including submitting your balance so you get the status, etc. And the whole point there is, if you are a whale, you are a whale. Kind of go all the way. And ideally, kind of friendly advice here. Let's assume you have, your major account. You don't want to say put avatar on that account. Well, ideally you do put that. That's one. But if you don't, you can always create a second account on Telegram and then just allocate that account towards the ghost, right? So that's kind of how you can, potentially go about it. Because what needs to happen is if you are a whale, well, at least that's my belief, and that's where I'm super welcoming feedback at this point of time through this chat. I would like to to hear what you guys have to say about it. But me personally, I believe that like you have to go all the way. You have to be part of the massive group. And the best example for that, I would say, is if you guys have seen the movie, and if you haven't, you should. The Fight Club. And the biggest differentiating sign of Fight Club, if you guys watch the movie, what it was. If you know, if you can put in the comments the differentiating sign of everybody who was ever invited to the Fight Club. If you guys remember, put this in the comments. I'm gonna say if that's the right answer or wrong answer. I think I have the right answer. I think I know the right answer. Could be wrong. But yeah, let me know. It would be interesting to compare. Put them in the comments right now. But overall, they had a differentiating sign, so we have to have a differentiating sign as Ghost Whale. So you put your GML, and GML will start loading very fast. If you cannot if your GML personally does not load yet, just take a random GML from your specific phase. How to identify the phase is very simple. So you go here. So we have 5. 1 second. Let me just move my camera. Yeah. Okay. So we have 5 different phases. That has been the whole point of the collection. Phase 1 is a genius. Phase 2 is a degen, zombie, skeleton, and ghost. And total GNFT count, so total GML count, is 46,000 for the phase 1, 15,000 phase 2, 4,000 phase 3, 4,000 phase 4, and only 729 items for ghost, which is essentially, at this point of time, almost all of it is council members, but you can still have enough GNV and not be a council, so it's also possible. But very, very exclusive, only 729 items. And yes, it's a massive collection. So essentially, it's 5 different collections. Thanks massively to the dev team. Thanks massively to Cosmos for developing this collection back in the day. But yeah, overall, 5 different collections, since most of you guys didn't know. Now, every single phase has different levels within the phase. So phase 1 has 5 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Phase 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Respectively, phase 3, 11 to 15. Phase 4, 16 to 20. And finally, phase 5 is anywhere from level 21 to level 25. Now, you got what? You got creative ID ranges. So creative ID ranges are just simply the ranges of the NFTs. So level 1 is NFTs like NFT ID 1 to NFT ID 19,565, and that's the number of GMLs, right? So 19,000 GMLs for level 1. For level 8, for example, that's 2,500. For phase 3, level 13, that's 660. And you can get to the point where level 25, the actual level 25, like the actual ghost here, as you can see, level 25, right, is only 49 items, right? So super exclusive, extremely exclusive. And we would like some of the whales to get there. Now, therefore, the GNV balance, and that's perhaps the most important table. So this is the balance of your GNVs, right? And this is the respective level. So this column, GNV balance range. So let's assume you have 1,500 GNVs. Good. So you're somewhere here between 1,200 to 21. Oh, my video. Let me just turn up the video for a second. I should just turn it. Oh, yeah, here. Yeah. So let's assume you are 1,500 for your GNV balance, right? So you're between 1,200 to 2,199. Well, you are level 5, and your GNV balance therefore is like, well, whatever. Like that's the starting balance. So you're level 5. And that's what you will submit. You'll just submit to the bot how many GNVs total. So you calculate off-chain GNVs plus on-chain GNVs together. Sum that up. That's your level. And that's what's going to be reflected as your status in the whales. Let's assume you have, 7,000 GNVs. Perfect. So you're between, here in this range. So therefore you're level 9. Now, why it's important to have the status, right, identified. And that proposal has been voted for by the majority vote. And guys, again, thank you so much for the vote. The proposal 2, which is active right now, which is due tomorrow, 11:59 Eastern Time deadline to vote. And so far, it seems like it's going to be voted in favor, but we don't know. So let's just let's hear everybody's opinion. Whoever is disagreeing is disagreeing. Please write down why you're disagreeing, why you're rejecting. If you're approving, put your feedback as well. Why you're approving. So it's very, very important to listen to both sides. But at the same time, so far that's just majority vote. The second proposal, what the second proposal does, the second proposal is essentially enabling whales to vote. And those votes are going to be actionable. So if you're going to vote, Ghost Africa is there, we will execute that. If you're going to vote, let's create, let's increase the minimum requirements for the node. We could consider to, if that's the actual vote and whales actually vote for that, then we should also take that into consideration. We should also, essentially make it actionable, right? So, very important. Now, the reason why we would make it actionable if the majority of people will vote against it. That's very simple. That's called governance. The thing is, that same governance will later on be transmitted onto on-chain governance with the Ghost chain. So what we're doing right now is a great practice of what it will happen on-chain. Don't you think that it's not going to be on-chain? On-chain, it's going to happen. On-chain, the votes will be proportional to your GMV stake. Council or not doesn't fucking matter. You will have governance. You will have a vote. And we need to make sure that these votes currently are being exercised, right? So you guys understand, not just, it's a huge, benefit to have votes, but it's also lots of responsibility because you need to really understand what's happening, right? Again, even to qualify as a whale, you need to, let's start with changing your avatar, calculating your balances, claiming the GML. It's already a lot of responsibilities to become a whale. It's not easy. Not everybody can become a whale. How many actual whales do we have right now? You can look in the whales, maybe 15 people. Not many out of 250 or 240, whatever. 15 people, that's it. Only 15 people qualify. So the second proposal says this: only whales can vote. Only whales can vote. So if you are not a whale, you cannot vote. And the whale is based on the definition in Proposal 1. All these proposals, the team will decide how that will be, portrayed. But the idea is that the team, hopefully, at some point of time, will put all that stuff, all these proposals and the votes with screenshots and stuff, into a separate blog post somewhere. And that's how we're going to be, rock and rolling. So all that stuff will be historical. Plus, obviously, you can scroll up in the chat, but the summary will be represented in a separate page somewhere, web page. First of all, you have to be a whale to vote. Secondly, how will your votes count? So let's assume you are a council. You can also be a whale. Those are not mutually exclusive. Perfect. So most likely you're going to be somewhere here, level 25. So therefore you are phase 5. So you have 5 votes. So since you are in this, if you are from level 21 to level 25, so if your GMV balance is between 100,000, which is massive, to 250,000, which is more massive, or more, you are phase 5. If you phase 5 votes. Let's assume you are having 2,500 GMVs. So you're somewhere here. Perfect. You're level 6. You're phase 2. You have 2 votes. So the future, if the second proposal is approved, we will have more proposals coming out. At least, we know that there's, I know there are some more that I would like to at least, get everybody's opinion on. Maybe another 3 proposals total, so maybe around 5. Some of the proposals will be included. Who can make a proposal and how to make a proposal? Whales will be able to make proposals, right? So we can make proposals. Everybody, and then we can vote for them, including, say, Ghost Africa. One whale asked about Pi network integration. That's a great idea. Let's try to vote for that. Obviously, with the repercussions. So it's not just the idea has to really be thought through. It has to be pretty detailed, just like, the current proposals, or more detailed. But essentially, yes, future proposals will be how to make a proposal, and also, how the votes will be counted. So if the second proposal is approved, we're probably going to create a separate Excel spreadsheet. It's going to be available to everybody. The votes are going to be public, not anonymous. So we'll see exactly who voted how. And then we will be calculating those votes in the Excel spreadsheet. And then the majority vote based on those weighted votes will be approved. So council members will have 5 votes, therefore, anybody who is on phase 3, for example, will have 3 votes. Everybody who's on phase 4 will have 4 votes, and so forth and so forth and so on. Therefore, that gives, well, that's definitely a challenge for Wales who are not council members. Why? Well, because most of them will have 1 or 2 votes at the moment. That's not good. Versus a council who has 5 votes. Everything is meritocracy based. Right? So it's 1 or 2. That's the whole point of Web3. How can you change that? Easy. Bring more people. Right? So that's what Wales have as an advantage over council members. Bring more people. And make sure they vote like you want them to vote. Bring more people, bring more whales. Make sure, so one of the proposals will be how to invite whales. Because lots of you guys don't know that you can invite whales actually. All right, so we need to make sure that it's clear, because you can. Right, we'll write specific instructions, and that proposal will also be discussed. So hopefully next week we'll have 2 or 3 additional proposals. So you can invite more people. Because I know that Wales are working on the background, inviting a lot of people. I know that. How do I know? Because those invited people sometimes PM. Right, so I speak to them as well. So I know, essentially they tell me who invited them. That's great. Thank you so much, guys. So you invite qualified people. Those qualified people vote. They also have to become whales. Once they do, you essentially have, some type of influence over them, because you know the project. You know what's right, what's wrong. And that's how we rock and roll. And what that means is, let's assume a whale invites another, 5 people. Great. So that's called, essentially what happened just now is that whale became a validator, and those 5 people that whale invited became nominators. So those 5 people nominated the validator. Of course, these 5 people have to vote individually. At this point of time, it's off-chain. Of course, we just have to vote individually currently. But that's a preparation for what's going to happen on-chain. On-chain, what's going to happen is those nominators, the people you brought, they can commit their GMV balance under your validator node. And then you all together represent something. Another thing that we need to think with council members, and the team is deeply, deeply, deeply passionate about as an idea, is how to allocate council seats to ghost whales. Because that has to happen as well. And that has to happen based on merit. Just like the seat has to be acquired based on merit, right? If it's monetary, same way it has to be acquired based on merit from perspective of users. And so far, to get to the council, you have to have 250,000 GMVs. But you don't have to do it by yourself. It's not that 250,000 GMVs represent your referral rewards. 250,000 GMVs could be you and your friends. If the total balance is 250,000 and your friends are voting for you, at least that's an idea, that could be a seat. Right? So of course this framework needs to be finalized. It's not final. What I'm saying has to be finalized, has to be approved. But this is what we are thinking, at least, just to give you ideas. And proposals on that will follow. Not this week, not next week, not even this month, as far as the seats, as far as the council seat promotion to the whales. But it will follow for sure. 100%. One way or another, it will follow. So on this note, I think, let me answer the questions. I think that's it. Let me answer any questions. We'll end a little bit earlier because that's what I wanted to discuss. The first rule of Fight Club is that you do not talk about Fight Club. Yeah, Cosmos, that's good. But what was the differentiating sign of all of these people? Of all the people in the Fight Club? That's going to be a question for next time. Maybe you should watch the movie again. It's a great movie. On this positive note, let's end. So we have until tomorrow to vote on the second proposal, which is super, super exciting. And we can see how the community is responding. And needless to say, I'm very, very happy with the response of you guys, of Wales. Proud of you guys. All right. Until next time, thank you so much. See you guys next week.